I'm Cass. Welcome to my June TBR jar, or in this case, T-bowl jar. Is that bad? That sounds bad. Actually, that sounded better in my head, but it's a bowl that I made in pottery and it has the Lord of the Rings map. So not really a jar, but I wanted an excuse to use this bowl. So here we are. I have a bunch of different prompts in my jar, and how this works is I'm just gonna draw a bunch. I think I'm gonna aim for 8. 8 seems like a good number. Once I draw 5 prompts from the TBR jar, I'll go ahead and pick 3 other books that maybe don't fit a prompt that I pulled. However, I still want to add them to my June TBR. And let's, without further ado, go ahead and get started because I am so excited and I had so much fun filming this last time. So I'm really curious to see what prompts the jar will have me pull this go around. So like I said, without any further ado, let's go ahead and pick the first prompt and drop it back into the bowl, but we're good. All right, here is the first prompt. A book that matches the season. With it being spring, it looks like I need to pick a book that either gives spring vibes or takes place in the spring. I struggled a bit to pick out this book because I was looking for novels, and then it struck me that actually I have the perfect manga to fit the vibe for spring, and that is A Sign of Affection by Sue Morishita. This has been my best friend Katie's favorite manga as of late, and she's been talking about it a bunch and convinced me to pick up the first volume. My order from Pango finally arrived after it took a little bit of a detour. I made it all the way here and then they sent it back. It went on a little bit of a US tour, but it finally has made it into my hands, and I'm excited to give it a try. I've really enjoyed just picking up first volumes of manga, and while I'm not sure that this takes place in spring, the cover absolutely does scream spring, and I can't wait to pick it up. This follows Yuki, who is a deaf main character, as well as her crush, Itsuami, who is described as a charismatic globetrotter, so do with that information as you will. Regardless though, I am excited to pick up and read about their cute little love story and find out why my friends enjoy this manga so much. And now it's time to draw the second prompt out of the bowl. Honestly, I love this so much because I never know what the bowl's gonna pick, and it always leads me to picking books I never expect to pick up, which is fantastic. Oh, okay, one fell into my hand here, so that'll be my next prompt. A book received as a gift. Oh, this is gonna be a little tricky because I'm not sure how many unread books that I have received as a gift. So we're gonna see. All right, I was absolutely correct. I really struggled to find an unread book that was gifted to me. However, I did settle on one that may or may not have been on last month's TBR that I was unable to get to, and that would be A Clash of Kings, which is book 2 in the Game of Thrones series. I did start reading this a couple months ago, made it to chapter, I don't know what chapter, they don't have chapter titles, to page 23. So honestly, I was making really good progress before I set the book down. Honestly though, I was supposed to read this last month. However, my audiobook hold on Libby did run out and I wasn't able to pick it up. Granted, I could have just read it and not listened to the audiobook, but I really like pairing the audiobook for this series. I did start watching Game of Thrones for the very first time though. I have never seen like literally any clips, anything. Like I don't know how much it deviates. I've heard season 1 and season 2 are pretty to the T following the books, and so far I'm maybe like 4 or 5 episodes in, and it really is lining up with the books from what I recall. Maybe there's like minor changes of like this character actually did this in the book, but they just changed it to be a different character. But regardless, I feel like it's doing a really, really good job, and I understand why people love this so much. And I've just really enjoyed getting to see all like the costume designs, especially because a lot of my friends are cosplayers who like love Game of Thrones. And so getting to appreciate the details they put into their costumes and also seeing them like on screen, it's so cool. I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent. All that to say, I didn't end up having time to pick this book up last month, but this was actually a gift for my birthday that my friend Manu, who I'm actually buddy reading this series with, got me. So I thought it'd be the perfect time to actually pick up this book. I said that last month, but this month, maybe I'll actually mean it. Time for the next prompt. Honestly, I don't see myself stopping doing these TBR jars anytime soon because again, they give me such a fun variety. And it's always like a little treasure hunt around my bookshelf to realize how many unread books that I have and how many that I want to get off of my TBR. Book with over number of pages, what? Oh, I can't read my own handwriting. Book with even number of pages. Wait, this is a fun one because I have to like crack open a couple books to see if they have even or odd number of pages. I think for a total number of pages, I think I'm going to go ahead and count before the acknowledgement, because you know how there's always like the extra pages or like an index or whatever. I think whatever the last page the story is written on, if it's an even number, I'll be able to add it to my TBR. I really want to get through some high fantasy this summer, so you saw me check out Outlander, odd number of pages. You saw me check out Lord of the Rings, also an odd number of pages. But luckily, clocking in at an even number of 842 pages, it is Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. This is the third and final book in the Live Ship Trader series, and I actually read the first and second book back in April and just haven't finished the series, and I don't want to put this off for too long, or else I don't think I'm gonna complete the series. So I'm really, really determined to make sure that I actually complete the series in a timely manner. And I don't know why exactly that I even put it down, because I was binging through the series nonstop, but there must have been at least a day gap after I finished reading the second book where I didn't immediately jump into the third book, and then suddenly it fell to the wayside. So I'm really keen to finish up this series, and I don't know if you guys saw, but Illumicrate is dropping some gorgeous, gorgeous special editions, and unfortunately for my wallet, I will in fact be having to snatch up some copies, or at least try to, okay? You guys know how it is with special editions, like the Hunger Games out there. However, I want these so freaking bad, so I am going to set an alarm on what, I don't remember exactly what day, but it's already on my calendar. I've got an alarm set for when they release so I can grab a copy. However, the goal is, though, to finish up the series before I spend money on special editions of said series. But how things are shaping up, I think I'm really going to enjoy it, albeit I think my heart is going to be crushed, and I don't know if I'm ready to say goodbye to these characters. We're gonna do 2 more polls to make my even 5, I guess odd 5, not really even 5, but my solid rounded 5 books. I feel like, especially the way this TBR is already shaping up with Ship of Destiny and A Clash of Kings, it's already a really, really ambitious TBR, so I need to maybe chill and pick some shorter books. We'll see though. The Jar is the one controlling this, so I guess we're about to find out how my fate will be for the month. Let's see. A book over 100 years old. Okay then. I can say with confidence that that prompt will not be returning to the jar, because it turns out I only have 1 book that is over 100 years old, and we're kind of cheating a little bit because it's exactly 100 years old. It was published in 1926, and that is The Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery. Honestly, this works because it's still spring. We have the remnants of spring. As we transition to June though, a little less spring feeling. However, obviously summer doesn't start until the 21st, so we got some time. But I feel like once June hits, it's basically summer. However, my plan was to actually pick this up in my last reading vlog, but I wasn't able to quite get around to it. However, I would love to pick this book up before spring is over. This is one of the few adult books that L.M. Montgomery has written. I'm sure many of you have heard of Anne of Green Gables, which I've actually been reading through, and honestly, I was tempted to pick up the 3rd book. However, I think I'm going to save the 3rd book for autumn, not because it takes place in autumn. Her books tend to be throughout all 4 seasons. However, the cover of the 3rd book is so autumn that I don't want to pick it up in the spring or summer, so we're gonna put a pause on the Anne of Green Gables series and go ahead and pick up The Blue Castle and see how I enjoy L.M. Montgomery's adult writing. And now it's time for the 5th and final poll. Very exciting. Let's see, oh, that was a quick one. Fell right into my lap. And it is going to be book outside comfort genre. Okay, this one may be tricky because I don't own a lot of books outside my comfort genre, but let me peruse the shelves and see what I come up with. My immediate thought when picking out a book was sci-fi, because again, I don't own a lot of books that are outside of my comfort genre. Typically, if I'm experimenting outside of my comfort bubble, I will just borrow books from the library. That way, there's less cost involved and less risk as well, that if I don't like it, I didn't purchase a brand new book. So sci-fi is typically the only genre that's outside of what I typically read that I know I typically enjoy. So that's why I went ahead and chose Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This obviously was recently adapted into a movie, and I really want to see the movie, and I've also been ducking and dodging spoilers left and right because I've heard that you're supposed to go into this book knowing little to nothing. I don't even think I've read the blurb on the back, and if I have, I don't remember it. All I know is that our main character wakes up surrounded by a bunch of dead people who I guess were his crew, and he has to figure out what happened and I guess get himself home. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I want to go into this book knowing little to nothing because I heard that's the best best way to experience it, and I've also heard the best way to experience it is via audiobook, and if you're not, I do have the audiobook as well that I will go ahead and give a listen to. So I think this is a solid book for a book outside my comfort zone, but I think in the future, if I do draw that prompt from the prompt jar, I'll go ahead and maybe pick a book from my Goodreads and try to borrow it from the library, because I definitely don't have that many books on my shelf that are outside my comfort zone. Here are the 5 books that my TBR jar picked out for me. However, I'm going to go ahead and grab a few more books that are also on my TBR for the month of June. Okay, that was a bit silly. I realized that one of the books I have borrowed via audiobook, one is a upcoming release, and then there was only one book. I don't know why I said a couple more books. I just have the one extra book, and then I'll talk about the other ones that I'm going to borrow and the new release, whatever. Anyways, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. You saw me check it earlier to see if it had an even number of pages where I can pop it on my TBR. It didn't, but fear not. It's on the TBR. I am a fantasy cartographer, and one of my most requested maps is the Lord of the Rings map, and I thought it'd be really fun to draw the map and read the book at the same time. I actually rewatched the first movie, and I'm going to find time, hopefully, to rewatch the second and third movie as well, just trying to gather inspiration and figure out what elements I want to incorporate into the map. And since watching the first one, I've been really inspired and just really excited to pick up such an iconic fantasy novel that honestly, I still can't believe I haven't read, and I know I say this every single year. I've probably put this on every single like yearly TBR or what have you, but it's always been in the forefront of my mind that I want to pick up The Lord of the Rings. I did pick up The Hobbit a few years back, and I think it's time. This year will be the year that I pick up The Lord of the Rings. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about that one briefly. Obviously, you all know what this is about. We follow Frodo as he needs to destroy the One Ring, and then we also have A Ghastly Catastrophe by Deanna Raybourn. I had this borrowed via audiobook because I love their narrator. She does such a phenomenal job bringing Stoker and Veronica to life. This is book 10, and it is also the final book before I'm caught up in the Veronica Speedwell series. Sad times, honestly. I'm excited because I've heard really good things about this book, but I'm sad because I don't want to have to wait for any more Veronica and Stoker content. But alas, I think the time has come. In this one, I think there's like inklings of vampires. Obviously, this is not like a paranormal fiction. This is more of a historical mystery romance rather than like paranormal. So I know the vampires aren't actually like real, but I'm keen to see what the situation actually is, and of course get some more Veronica and Stoker. This is very much so a series where the plot is there, but you're really there just for the Veronica and Stoker romantic moments, which are honestly so good. So very excited to get to that one. And then also a new release, A Darker Shore, Letters from Ketterdam by, of course, Leigh Bardugo. These are letters back and forth between characters in the Grishaverse. I'm assuming mainly Six of Crows because, of course, it being Ketterdam. I love Six of Crows, honestly. Such a fun duology, and I was really obsessed with it, especially when the TV show came out. RIP to the Six of Crows show that never got to be, with a cast of characters that could not have been any more perfect. I grieve every day, okay? And lately I've been getting so many TikToks talking about how sad people are about that, especially with this upcoming release. It's like reopening an old wound, quite frankly, because I loved season 1. I even enjoyed season 2, and Netflix did us all dirty. But enough harking on the past. I'm really excited to pick up this book. I'm not expecting fantastic things or anything like groundbreaking to delve more into the story or the Grishaverse. I'm sure we'll get little elements here and there, but honestly, I'm just excited to return to this world and these characters and get fresh new content. And that's going to go ahead and wrap up my June TBR. Remember how I said I should pick shorter books because the TBR was turning out to be quite ambitious? I think I failed, you guys. Whether or not I actually get around to reading these books is not the point. I just love setting a good TBR. Show's not over, folks, because I actually am going to make a cute little TBR jar spread for my TBR for June. I, for some reason, didn't do this last month, which kind of befuddles me because it's my first time ever doing the TBR jar, but I figured, you know, why not make a journal spread for my second time ever doing the TBR jar, because there's no time like the present. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and put together a cute little journal page courtesy of washi tape sent to me by the Washi Tape Shop. that's gonna go ahead and wrap up this TBR jar video. Once again, thank you so much to the washi tape shop for sending me their new washi tape. If you want to shop the new collection or any other washi tape at the washi tape shop, you can use my code Cassandra10 for 10% off. I cannot wait to read my TBR this upcoming June. Honestly, very ambitious, but we'll see what I can do. Please let me know any books on your TBR or any books on my TBR that you guys think that I should start with, or if there are any books that are like must reads that I shouldn't skip over in June. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my next one. Doodles!